I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast, set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a day
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great summer. Our summer is winding down, but I hope it was a great one. Got some clinics that I still have some spots opened to finish out the rest of the year. I have one in Wichita Falls, Texas, in October 12th through the 13th. Corey Kuntz and I are headed up to the Crumpler Ranch, so excited to see Kelly and Dylan up there. We've had clinics up there before, and it's a great spot, so I'm excited to head back up there to the Crumpler Ranch. October 26th through 27th, we're headed to Clarksville, Texas. There's one head spot available there at the Cowboy Church. Shelby Grizzle will be she'll be the host and the point of contact. November 2nd and 3rd in Abilene, Texas. We're doing one with Sloan Henley. My buddy Ty Wilson will be putting that one on. He's my Air Force buddy, one of our American Hero Celebration ambassadors. And so for a lot of the guys getting ready for the American Hero Celebration, it's the next week. This is a good one. If you didn't get into the clinic for the Horns and Heroes Clinic, this is a really good one to go to get sharpened up before that week. So Ty Wilson will be helping me put that one on. All these clinics will be available on my website. So charliecrawford.training. So you can click on there. You can find the host contact information, and that way you'll be able to get in the know on getting to a couple of these clinics if you're ready to get to some of these clinics before the end of the year. Our big Champions Level Clinic that Corey Kuntz and I will be putting on in Decatur, Texas at NRS. That one's going to be real exciting. This is one that is a lot different than the rest of them. It'll be November 12th through the 14th. It'll be 2.5 days. Really trying to get guys ready for the competition. So we're not trying to change anything. We're just trying to basically tighten you up and eliminate a few of the mistakes that may be making that might be costing you money, and be able to get familiar with the box length, to be able to get familiar with the start, trying to match steers up for whatever ropings you're going to be roping in from the 12 down to the 7. And, I think it's really good, too, if you're able to bring your partner where you can kind of get on the same page together. Corey and I will be making some runs and try to show you the type of run that you'll need to make in that roping. And so then that way we can video it, we can time it. We'll have the same barriers as what it's going to be like at the end of the year between Vegas and a lot of the ropings in Arizona. So you can find out where it is you're lacking your time, what are the couple things that we need to tighten up right there to get you guys in the money at the big money. So this is a clinic. We're only doing one a year. We're only taking 10 headers and 10 healers. So it'll be a limited spots available. And we're trying to do this once a year to get where it's another level of clinic for the guys that are competing. Our 2025 dates are starting to fill up. We are already taking in spots in there. So if you're interested in a clinic, email me at charliecrawfordtraining@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the books for next year. My feed program. So feed programs, in my opinion, and a lot of this is just an opinion, this is how we feed our horses. But I think it's important to kind of know, first of all, how much are you riding the horse? If he's getting, how young and old the horse is, and, what his tendencies are, because there's a lot of variables when it comes to feeding our horses. And so most of our horses are pretty much on the same wavelength. It's the young horse that I'm riding, Gypsy, we feed him pretty strong because he's getting rode pretty good. Jackie's rodeo horses, when I was rodeoing, we fed him pretty strong because they were getting used a lot, and you're trying to keep that protein pumping in them where they feel good, they feel strong, and, they're getting the vitamins and nutrients that they need. Now, if you're not riding them near as much, I don't think they need near as much protein intake. That's just my opinion, especially horses that have a tendency of tying up. But we feed 2 flakes of alfalfa in the morning. We get our hay from Aidenbrook. They have great hay that they get all across the country. And so we feed alfalfa. And one of the things that I think is important too is like where you get your alfalfa. That way you kind of know what the protein intake can be. So like where I grew up, like up there in the Northwest, some places up there in the mountains, they may only get 3 cuttings. Well, those first and third cuttings, that's going to be more of your dairy quality hay because it grows slower. Your leaves are getting stronger. More leaf, they say, the more protein intake. And so it grows slower in the first and third cuttings. And then some places where it's hotter, they'll probably get 4 cuttings. Arizona, even more. So a lot of that stuff kind of depends on where you're at, because your second and third cutting, like say, in the Northwest area, where they get 4 cuttings, that stuff's going to grow pretty fast because it's hot. It's going to be green, clean, grows fast. And so, your protein intake won't be quite as strong. That first and third is going to be your dairy quality hay. And some places where they get 4 cuttings, they say your first and fourth cutting is going to be more of your dairy type hay because it grows slower, stronger leaf, more protein. I've had some horses when I fed them alfalfa. I'm telling you, if I got that dairy quality, it would bring a dead calf back to life. I'm telling you, veins popping out of their neck and just firing and just almost like trying to ride a mountain lion. I'm telling you, I was like, whoa, this is a little much, a little strong. So I had to be careful of some of the places where I did get the hay if it was a little strong. So just some things to kind of keep track of on where you're getting your alfalfa hay. We feed a scoop of grain morning and night. We use Total Equine. I really like Total Equine. They look good. It gives them the nutrients they need, but it doesn't get them hot. And so we really like that feed, like say scoop morning and night. And then on some of our horses, we'll keep coastal hay in front of them, especially like the horses we're riding pretty strong, where they need them. Their horses are meant to kind of graze. They're grazing all day long is what they're used to doing. And so we'll keep some coastal or some kind of grass hay for some of them to munch on. Now say like Sailor. Sailor's a big old porker. He's fat. He's always fat. When he's not getting rode as much, we'll probably back him down to 1 flake of alfalfa in the morning, 1 flake of alfalfa at night, and let him munch on some coastal throughout the day. Otherwise, golly, he just gets huge, And so we're not trying to hurt his belly fat. We're not trying to get him where they're so fat where they get hurt. And you got to be careful of too much protein intake where, you worry about the founder. And so those are kind of some of the things we keep our eye on. I think you got to be real careful of too much protein, not enough riding, where some of them horses that might be a little prone for tying up because their kidneys aren't able to digest the protein enough. And that's where sometimes you can create tie-ups. That's a vet question. That's a nutritionist question. I'm not either one of those. So if you have, horses that have some issues, I think I would have the vet or a nutritionist kind of look at where you can kind of get an idea of what your feed needs to be. Supplements, there's 100 different places and supplements you can get to. I think there's so much you can research on, what are your horses' needs? Older horses, arthritic horses, younger horses you're trying to prevent, just do your research, and there's a bunch of good ones. And so I'm not going to sell any supplements or anything like that. And the fact of, there's so many and there's so many good ones out there. And a lot of it's going to depend on what your horse you feel like it needs. One of the main things, though, is I want to make sure that, worming your horses is important. That's another good one, in my opinion, that keeps them looking good. I've seen a lot of wormy horses. They're feeding them fine, but they don't worm them, and their necks get skinny, and their ribs start showing, and their hair is, kind of matted and, kind of staying long when it shouldn't be. And, worming is important. So I talked to Troy Cooper this morning over there at Cooper's Feeds here in Stephenville, and that's where we get our wormer from. And so they recommend every 2 months to keep them looking good. So right now, September 15th, this is a strongid time of year. So a lot of the guys will get strongid. So they'll mix the wormers on and off for what kind of the weather does to try to kill all the different types of worms that grow throughout the year. So that's why a lot of these wormers will change every 2 months. And so then come November 15th, about the first frost of the fall or the winter, they really talk about Quest Plus. They talk about that's kind of the best one for that type of worm, that type of year. And then January 15th, Ivermectin. 2 months later, you get the Ivermectin in them. And then about March 15th, they suggest Quest Plus. And then May 15th, Ivermectin. And then July 15th, and kind of back it off to a Safeguard. And then back again to this time of year is your strongid. So about 6 worm times a year, so every 2 months. And main thing is keep them looking good. Being able to make sure that they're if they're getting used, you want them. These are athletes. It's a lot different than a horse just kind of kicked out in the pasture out there in the wild. These are athletes that are getting used hard. And so you're wanting to make sure that they're able to feel good, they can perform their best, keep them healthy, where they last a lot longer. And that's our feed program. Thank you.